Hey, Rugbyhub viewers, welcome back to another Rugbyhub podcast where we will be discussing this Rugby Championship, predominantly the Springbok versus All Blacks game. Gabsy, how are you doing? What did you make of that game last week? Did you have a heart attack? Where were you?
Goody, fantastic game. Lovely to be back. To be honest, I was actually watching with a bunch of my Kiwi friends. So obviously lots of complaining about the ref. I mean, we can dig into that in a second. Also congratulations to Australia getting their first win of the campaign.
Yeah, they
But
broke the
yeah,
duck under Joe Schmidt, was it? Or no, they
no,
already
no,
have
they,
a win
they,
under
they, they
Joe
at
Schmidt?
least managed to beat Wales, if I'm not mistaken, in the beginning of the year. On that note, should we jump straight into it? What did you make
Into
of
last week's game. Yeah,
of
I think
last
there's
weekend?
a lot to be said, Gabsy. On the referee side, I don't want to touch too much on the referee. I think definitely that Bongi try was a non-try. Uh, Honestly, I think it doesn't matter how you spin it and how it was knocked backwards. To me, he lost control of that ball. We
100%. I
don't have
mean,
to
if we
dig.
put ourselves in the All Blacks shoes, I
Yeah,
mean, South African fans would have been freaking
we
out.
would have
So
look. I think they said on SA Rugby Hub, SA Rugby Hub, SA Rugby Mag podcast, they said, like, let's be honest, like the Springbok supporters aren't the most classy. I mean, we're kind of loud and a bit obnoxious and things, but I think we definitely would have had a lot to say if the roles were reversed for that. Let's call it a non-try.
100%.
But for the res, Gabsy, the All Blacks came out firing immediately, got onto the board with a great try. They capitalized on the Springboks' mistakes. They were ruthless in their attack. And they looked they looked scary at some point, especially for that first 60 minutes. What did you make of that game?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, also, I think it was really a close game. I know afterwards there was, yeah, like I said, a lot of my Kiwi friends I was watching were complaining and saying, look, they were the better team on the day. But to be
Mm,
honest, I think over the years there's been many games where the roles have maybe been reversed, where
absolutely.
I felt like, look, we were the better team on the day, but the scoreboard didn't reflect that. And this time
Mm,
around, maybe even Rassi said afterwards, they were really phenomenal in that game, but we just knew when to take the points.
mm.
And let's not forget, I honestly feel like we had conceded two or three soft tries, maybe well done on the execution on the All Black side. But I mean the interception try, the one turnover where Ben Jason Dixon maybe forced a pass there, the one with the
Mm.
overthrow of the line out. There was a couple of tries, it was quick,
Yeah.
very quick succession and caught us a bit off guard. But I
But
would say,
that
yeah,
makes me then I'm gonna ask you this question then. Like we try to compare ourselves also with the All Black side of 2015, where they would be in situations where they would be 10 points behind with 15 minutes to go, and then just in some miraculous fashion they come out and they win. Right, and then
yeah,
then South Africans or the Springbok supporters would feel like, well, we had you guys, right? But
yeah,
actually, I mean, really the teams that have the belief that they are going to win, and that's why, like, you look at the Springboks when they scored that final try, it kind of the elation wasn't that. It's kind of like they knew it was eventually the wall was going to break. So
yeah.
it's very exciting. So, I mean, what was the difference then between winning and losing then between the two sides last week, and considering that it was so incredibly tight?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, like Russ even put it in the post-match interview. I think the Box just came away with critical victories in that game. Whenever we needed it,
Yeah, those
we
small
took the
battles.
points. Those small battles, we were winning those small battles. One could argue the All Blacks also didn't take every chance they had.
The
And yeah, I
bench,
mean,
man. Well, I think the bench, number one, sorry to interrupt you, and then the discipline. I think the discipline of the All Blacks has been poor. I mean, if you get more than 10 penalties conceded per
yeah,
game, then you're in risky territory. And for the past three games that the All Blacks have played, they've all averaged above 10.
yeah.
And that's what really let them down. And yes, it is the pressure from the Springboks as well. But if they tidy up, they can really come out with a bang in
Yeah,
Cape
no,
Town.
I mean, I also guess it depends who you ask. Some of them might complain about the ref, but some fans in particular, we said we won't touch on that one. So I do think if we transition over to this week, we
Yeah.
can expect a lot. changes coming in from the All Blacks. I mean, if you've seen that lineup, we'll throw it up on the screen and chat about it. But I do think they'll also really focus on the discipline. There's been a lot of talk about that. So I do expect to see Scott Robinson and the All Blacks team really changing it around this week, especially in terms of discipline, because that's ultimately probably also what cost them the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we can, switch over to this week and also looking at the time, I would say, I mean, for me, I am expecting a complete different performance. If we throw up the team here, Gary, let's just first quickly maybe touch on that All Black lineup.
Yeah.
What, I mean, would you make out of that selection? What can we expect this weekend?
Well, there's two injuries from last weekend. I think Caleb Clark was exceptional, especially under the high ball. He was great. And then Ethan Blackadder, who I thought had a storming game for the All Blacks. But I think this team is actually better. You see, they lost the game last week in the last 20 minutes. And this week, they put a lot of experience on the bench to make sure that doesn't happen. Bowden Barrett with 129 caps coming off the bench. I mean, that's crazy. You got now TJ Perenara coming off the bench, giving Cortez Ratama a chance to start now. So I think they really look to close out this game properly, unlike they did last week. And I think they've gone for a more attack-minded approach here. I think last week they were a bit more conservative, thinking the Springboks will kick the ball a bit more. So they had good players in the air. You know, Bowden Barrett very secure to kick the ball back. And this week they've got Will Jordan. Finally, I think all the All Black supporters would love to see him at fullback because he is all in all attack. So I think they've gone for the approach that they want to run it, and the Springboks have now gone for the opposite. They've gone for a more traditional approach. So I think we're going to kick the ball a bit more and pressure them in the air, with Kane and Moody obviously being a bit taller as well. So I think it's a very interesting dynamic between the two.
If you think about that, I mean, obviously, we've seen obviously Rassie selecting his team actually, only on
always
Thursday
on Tuesday.
morning.
Yeah,
and this is now he's selected his team after the All Blacks announcement. So I mean, that is quite interesting looking at that lineup in particular, also going with a 5-3 split on the bench. And obviously getting the likes of Willie Leroux back in there, Andre Pollard starting, and then obviously, like you said, Kane and Moody as well, who we know is phenomenal under the high ball. We do know the weather in Cape Town could be a bit more damp, if we could say it like that. So
slower type
we
game.
probably could expect a slower type of game also with the team selection. So really interesting when we take a look at that.
Do you think that Scott Robertson would have changed his team if he had the opportunity to see the Springboks name their side on the Tuesday as usual? Or do you think he would have sticked with this team?
That's an excellent question. I mean, to be honest, I actually maybe would imagine him making one or two changes, maybe not seeing Will Jordan at 15, knowing that it will be a more, more kicking coming from the box. What would you say, Gary?
I don't know. I think it's a good question. Maybe you guys can let us know in the comments. What do you guys think? But naming a 5-3 bench instead of a 6-2. The Boks usually rely on their power game to overthrow the All Blacks, who are traditionally also very, very tough in that department. I mean, I think the front rows were kind of evenly matched last week, and the front five in general. So Tony Ball, Gabsy, I think that got us in a bit of trouble last week. I think you mentioned the intercept try. You mentioned Ben Jason Dixon giving an offload when he shouldn't have. And that's all trying to play with a bit more tempo, trying to get the ball wider. And that cost us. A few tries last week. And I wonder if this week we might go other way around, maybe play a bit more traditional. And then on the bench, we have some more pace coming on if we need to. So,
I mean, the All Blacks have clearly selected also, like you said it already, a stronger bench to finish out the game. Really, honestly, that last 20 last week was just not good enough from them, So
they would feel
I'm interested to see what's going to happen in that last 20, what's going to happen in the second half in general. I expect the Boks to really go out, play traditional rugby up front. But maybe you guys, like Gary said, can let us know. What do you think? Do you think we would have selected a different team?
And
The
what
All
are
Blacks
the
would have selected
tactics?
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the All Blacks would have selected a different team. Sorry if they've seen the Springbok team before. And what do you think about the tactics as well?
Mm.
I mean, yeah, for me, I'm still really excited. I think this is going to be probably one of the closest games I've ever seen. I have to say, I do think the All Blacks will come out a lot more disciplined.
They don't
And
lose twice in a
yeah,
row very easily, Gabs.
exactly. And it's the first time in ages where the Springboks has actually gone on the trot 3 games in a row against the All Blacks. So can we make it 4 is the big real question.
I mean, we're
It
going to
would be
break history
amazing.
if we do. The Freedom Cup is on the line. We haven't had that bad boy since what, 2010? Is it?
I mean, that's crazy. I think it could
I
be,
mean, we
I
should
think it
know, but
must
Stacey
be,
didn't inform us beforehand.
it's
Anyways, Gabs,
it is
let's run
so
through
long
the
ago.
predictions
It's so
then.
long ago that we don't even know. So it would be good to have it back for some time, you know.
Yeah. What is the prediction then, Gabsy, for this game?
I'm expecting it last week I went with a ballsy call and I said 36-34. I'm expecting it to be a lot tighter.
Oh, it's
I'll
close.
go with yeah, I know, but not such a high scoring game. I think
Uh,
it's going to be probably something along the lines of like I don't know, 21-20 or maybe
it's,
21-19, like a 2 point or a
uh,
1 point game, you know.
I think 24, 21, 22 around there. I think so. But yeah,
Close. And
you
then
guys
just a
can let
quick
us know.
one, a prediction there on the other game. What would you say? Do you think the Los Pumas can bounce back from that 1 point defeat against the traveling Wallabies, or do you think
For sure
the
they
Wallabies
can, but
will
I
do it
think the
again?
Aussies got a lot of belief out of that performance. And the Argentinians, they can be so unpredictable. And I think now will be. It's so tough on my Super Brew to decide who to pick when the Argentinians play. But I think they'll bounce back. I think
All
they will
right.
bounce back this week. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, guys, let us know what do you think. Also, please give us your predictions and let us know what you think is
Yeah.
going to happen this weekend in Cape Town between the Springboks and the All Blacks and what else, yeah, we've missed out on. Thank you so much for all the support. Give us a like and share with friends and family. And yeah, have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the rugby. Thanks, Corey.
Thanks, guys. Just Gabs.